Oh, hello there.
Oh, hi everyone.
Um,
Welcome to our anniversary party.
we did it. Happy show birthday, Rev.
Yay.
And I'm celebrating with I brought some cake with me to eat while we
Yeah,
listen to this.
nice. I also have cake. We discussed this beforehand that we were both gonna have cake. And so we're like, oh, what kind of cake are you gonna get? It's like, oh, whatever the grocery store has that's like a single slice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the issue was for me, they did not have any cake options
Oh no.
in the sense of just like your normal cake. So I'm going to set the chat alight instantly by saying I brought cheesecake, which to me is a cake.
To me is a cake as well.
I know that really chaps some people. We've got a lot of strong opinions about cheesecake. Um, but now um, it is. I'll be interested to see if I eat it because as much as recording cake has become an inside joke, so much so that I have received a crocheted cake that sits next to me where we record. Uh, Eating with people watching me, horrifying to me. I will cover my mouth as I chew so that no one has to watch mastication.
Well, it's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna be listening to season 1, episode 1 of The Other Side of the Coin. When was the last time you listened to this, Rev?
I didn't listen to it too long ago because when we made the transition from where we were over to the Fable and Folly network, I had to go through and turn all of our episodes into WAV files because everything was MP3 and the host that they use uses WAV files.
Mm-hmm.
And so on a couple of the episodes, I went through and just listened to because I was like, this is the first thing people hear of us. Is there anything in here that now years later I'm catching that I didn't catch before, like sound wise that I could fix? And so there were maybe like one or two things that I cleaned out um, before uploading it to Fable and Folly. So it was maybe back in November. I think I listened to the first episode. Hi, so many people. How's everybody doing
Oh
today?
my
I
goodness.
mean, before we get started, we have so much to say. Yes, I actually have cake. Um, First, really, since we are celebrating our 3-year anniversary, I want to take a moment to thank just a bunch of people. Thank you, Kim, obviously, for being here with me tonight and for being part of all of our Patreon content. It has been so much fun having you join in.
Thank you for having me.
You know, thank you to Megan also for joining us. Megan, who joined us so much so that she, in fact, lives here now. Completely unexpected turn of events, but which is very cool for us. Obviously, thank you to Jake and Tass and TJ for starting this project with me, and just everything that they gave to the story when we first started out, and to Nix and Rachel with everything they did, putting the show together on the website and on social media. Wes for our photography, Mike who does some of our managing of the community, as well as Andrew who does the Reddit boards. Um, there's so many game designers that we have had the opportunity to work with. We've been able to, gosh, everyone at Evil Hat. We've got to work with Josh from Earth Dawn. So many people over the last 3 years that we have had the opportunity to chat with, to work with, to interview. It has been really amazing. So thank you to all of you for showing up and supporting us and playing along with us. Um, we are going to give away some stuff this evening. We have the way to enter is you're going to do exclamation point crit crew one word. I have been sitting on a hoard of things and it's like I should give more of this stuff away. Like there's no reason to be keeping it other than to like open my closet and go, "Oh, look at all these things I could give away if I need to." Because then we just acquire more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Jeff is here as well. Thank you to Jeff. Jeff was literally the person who taught me how to edit. He spent so much time before episode 1 even came out we recorded content and listened through it, and I would send it to him, and he would send me notes on how to process it to make it sound better, how to adjust the equipment. And so, every compliment that we get about the quality of the audio in the first episode, so much of that is because of Jeff. So, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, please go on.
Yes. I just now enabled it, and it looks like I may have missed some people who were very quick on the crit crew. So
Oh, okay.
just go ahead and enter it again,
Just in case.
Just in case.
So yeah, as we go through this, I'm gonna stop and maybe tell you some stories or some pieces of information that pop into my head that maybe we haven't talked about before. If you have questions as we go, things you want to know, we'll go through this. It's like a 30-some minute episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we will, Kim will stop me. We'll answer any questions people have. But I will try to kind of give director's commentary. But we have discovered for you to be able to hear it well, we won't be able to talk over it.
Yeah.
Because it'll just be confusing because you'll hear two of me mumbling and droning. So yeah, let's get this started.
Okay, I'm excited.
Well, hello, and welcome to the very first episode of The Critshow. This is an actual play podcast of a tabletop RPG, and if you're unfamiliar with this type of podcast, then all those words I just said are most likely gibberish. If you've never played a tabletop RPG before, the quick and dirty version of it is that you have a group of people at a table telling an interactive story. One of them is the game master or GM. They act as a storyteller or a narrator for the game world, while the other players, or PCs, at the table control only one character each. Now, what separates an RPG from an interactive story is that instead of just saying what they want to do, the PCs roll dice after they declare an action, and the results dictate how well or poorly their character did, and the story the GM is telling alters from there. When prepping this podcast, we played 4 or 5 different games with different people as GM and ultimately landed on Monster of the Week for our first game. Monster of the Week is pretty user-friendly for both the players and for someone listening in at home. Now later I'm sure we'll play other games, but for now, we'll follow in the footsteps of Buffy and the Winchester brothers and Ashley Williams. Okay, that's enough out of me. Enjoy episode 1, and welcome to the Critshow. All right, so we will stop there.
Mm-hmm.
So just a couple things in that intro. It's so difficult to, for people who have never listened to an actual play podcast before. And when we started, we had no idea what our audience would be. But, our intent, not our intent, but our thought is always like, oh, for the most part, it's going to be like our friends and family listening. And that's it. So we're going to have to explain some of this stuff to them. We were super wrong about that. Like our friends and family, they don't listen for the most part. So luckily, we found people in the community who really enjoy what we're doing and listen. And so, trying to find a way like, oh, how do you explain what this is? And so I must have went through like 11 or 12 different drafts of like, how do we explain to someone in a minute what an actual play podcast is? And then I talked about like, oh yeah, we played a bunch of different things. And we did. So we started recording, the Critshow came out in May. I think we did our first recording in November.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the very first time we sat down to like try to record something and see, okay, how does this work? And the audio was so bad because we didn't have any idea what we were doing. And so it was so loud and clunky and everything was echoey and just nothing sounded good. And so we're like, well, we can't do that. We gotta try again. And at the time we were renting a space from someone to record because we didn't have any equipment. And so we were paying this guy to go over into his basement and record, and then not being able to use any of the recording. So we're like, oh yeah, can we come record again? He's like, oh yeah, that's great. That's great. How'd the first episode go? Like, oh yeah, no, we're redoing it.
Yeah,
And
it wasn't good.
it was wild because the guy that we were using the space from also did not do any podcast recording. he did live streams, and so his audio setup was way different. So we were like, well, this is really hot. How can we adjust this? And if we want to make sure that this is coming from here, and he would go, yeah, I don't know. And then he would like kind of turn knobs. Like, did this do anything?
Oh
No. How
no.
about this? Did this do anything? And so that was the point where I got a hold of Jeff and was like, I need help. But we played. It started off as Pathfinder, and it was a Pathfinder game with myself and Tass playing as vigilantes that were trying to like crack down on this citywide problem of someone importing drugs from other places, I believe, and it was Jake running it. And then it turned into a game of that same story. I want to make sure I do this in the right order. And then it turned into a game of that same story. No, that's not right. And then it turned into this is the story that I've told before, that we bought the copy of Monster of the Week. And I had ordered equipment, I had it set up, and we wanted to test it. And I was like, oh, we got 4 microphones. Hey, TJ, will you come over and play this game with us? And so he played it, and Jake and TJ left, and Taz goes, well, that was the show, wasn't it? I was like, yeah. Like, you don't realize how much another person at the table adds to what is going on. When you think about trying to carry a conversation at a microphone with 2 people, like trying to have a scene, if you have a third person, that means 2 people can always be engaging with each other, and one person could be kind of thinking about like, oh, what's next? And so if it's just the 2 people playing in the world, they always have to be they have to be active, because they can't sit back and let someone else take over for a minute. And so we got TJ to play, and we're like, oh, that's it. We need that third person. And so then it was a Pathfinder game with TJ in as well, in that same exact story, that TJ was like an old retired vigilante that was coming out of retirement to get the 2 of us to help him with this problem. And Pathfinder it didn't, like, we all love playing Pathfinder, but it didn't fit our, like, what we wanted to do recording wise, because everything was kind of slower, and all the checking of rules and looking up statistics and yeah, a lot of rules checking. And so we're like, well, what if we move to something simpler like Monster of the Week? And so Jake ran a game of myself and TJ and Tass playing Monster of the Week, and it was about 3 people plucked from various timelines. They just kind of vanished from their own time, and they were sent to various periods of history to solve a monster problem. It was kind of like, it was really like Quantum Leap. Like, we didn't know why we were picked, why we were there, and that was something we would have discovered as we went. But we didn't know at the time. And so like TJ played a greaser from the 50s. Tass was a futuristic bounty hunter, and I was an Irish, the last daughter of Philomena Early, who was the last Irish witch. And so and I was from like the 1870s. And so it was the 3 of us going through time, solving problems. And then we kind of got partway through that, and Jake wasn't really feeling it. And it's hard to run a story when it's not something that you're necessarily really feeling. And so we came back around to that idea of like, well, what about the thing of you guys playing as yourselves? Like, that was a lot of fun, and I've never heard that before. And before we started even recording, when I had decided I wanted to put this together, I listened to the first episode of 50 different actual play podcasts so that I could get a sense of what it was I liked, what I didn't like, what I thought worked, and like just kind of find my style and my voice when it came to editing and everything. And so we then went back and started recording that, and I changed the story entirely. The story that when the first time they went to the Halifax theater, the person who was haunting the theater was the spirit of a man named Shecky the Green Mile, who was he was like, it was a pair of brothers
What a name.
who, yeah, it was a pair of brothers who had been a very famous vaudeville act. and one of them left to like go do movies or something. And when they broke up, that brother vanished, but the other one kind of kept doing his story. Kept doing his own thing. And his own thing, he was Shecky the Green Mile, because he was like he was the first like vaudeville impressionist performer. He would paint himself green and then lay down on the ground on the stage and roll around until he had rolled enough distance to cover a literal mile. And that was what he did for his vaudeville performance, but it didn't go well. And so we discovered that he had killed his brother and buried his brother underneath the stage. And that's who was haunting the Halifax theater, was the brother that was killed. And so then we go from that into what we find here.
Nice. First of all, thank you all for the now level 4 hype train. Oh gosh, so many people to thank. Thank you. Thank you, I'm a T-Rex. Thank you, Seamus. Thank you, Fiery One. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you, Masha. Thank you, Selena. Thank you, Caradel, for the Prime sub. I'm a T-Rex with so many gift subs. Josh, thank you for the bits. Seamus, thank you for the resub. Yeah, you all are just amazing. Susan wants to know, I want to know what Rev is thinking as he listens to himself from 3 years ago.
Listening to myself in the intro is weird because I'm doing the like kind of the announcer voice. Like there is no personality there. It is the banker voice. You know,
Yeah.
I've done so many commercials where it's like the banker, and it's just, you know, oh, here's the thing that you need to know, and you know, we'll see you soon and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a higher it is a higher quality to the voice than I normally have. And are there other questions? I totally have not. I've been just letting you.
Yeah, you've been
okay.
great. Jeremy, I think, asks, do you still have any of that old audio by any chance?
Yes, I do have audio of Jake's Monster of the Week game where the three of us play as the time travelers. I was actually Divine Weapon just subscribed. Sorry, that name just caught me. I actually was listening through it because I thought about putting it out at one point for our break, but it was only 3 episodes that had been finished, and then we started the second story arc and didn't get all the way through it. It didn't get finished, so I will put out that first story arc. It's us dealing with a haunted arcade.
Nice.
So I'll put that someplace, whether it be on the main feed or maybe in the Patreon or something.
Jax, thank you for the gift sub. Connor, thank you for the bits. Tass, thank you for the gift sub.
Hey.
Fairy Light
heads falling in the cup.
Fairy Light Lux is very sweet. Says, it's funny as you explain what Monster of the Week is when most listeners were referred to listen to you as an example of Monster of the Week actual play when they were already interested. That's how I first started listening to this show.
Yeah, we were very fortunate in our first year. Like Reddit was very sweet to us. I don't know exactly how it started, but Reddit started suggesting us pretty frequently for people to listen to learn Monster of the Week. It was very fortunate for us.
And Caradil has one question, but I think we're gonna get into it as we listen to this next little bit. They ask, why did you all decide to be yourselves? Do you regret it?
Okay, yeah. All right, so I'm going to play some of this because we are 24 minutes in and we're at the minute 30-second.
We're doing great.
This, you know, we'll be here for a while. This is a party.
Yeah.
We're here for a good time and maybe a long time.
Maybe a long time.
Hello and welcome to the Critshow. My name is Brandon Wentz, but please call me Rev. Around the table we have...
Hi, I'm Tass.
I'm Jake. And I'm Tej.
This is an actual play podcast where we play Monster of the Week. But our little twist on this is that one night we were at C2E2, who we hope will sponsor us one day just by us saying their name.
Just for that.
Just for that. That's all it takes, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll actually be right back. There's somebody knocking at the door. I assume it's them.
Oh, it's the C2E2 guy.
All right. Sponsored.
Oh, yeah, we're sponsored.
All right. Sweet. But one night, talking about playing this...
So I have to say, because I think this every time I listen to this, I I hate that I make that joke about like, oh, C2E2 sponsor us, haha, because that is like the cheesiest thing. But then they instantly turn it into a joke about who's that at the door?
Mm-hmm.
And when we first recorded, we recorded like the first 4 episodes, and I was editing through them. I was like, I'm cutting that. I hate that joke. But then that joke keeps reoccurring. I was like, I can't cut it because it comes back so many times of, oh, who's that at the door? That they layered that joke in so many times that I couldn't cut it. And so that's something that makes me cringe at the beginning of this. Every time I listen to it of like, oh, yeah, that we hope will sponsor us one day. I'm like, oh, God.
Ugh.
But they turn it into such a great joke that we've even used now in ads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, let's get a little more distance. I know you're keeping track of the questions.
Yeah.
And the idea came across that what if they played as themselves? And we talked about it a little bit and realized that there were a couple of playbooks in this game that, with just a couple minor changes to their normal everyday lives, could be feasible. So we are playing through Monster of the Week. I am the keeper, and these guys are actually playing themselves in what we'll call the Other Side of the Coin universe.
There it is. I won't say it again for like 50 more episodes.
For like 2 seasons.
For 2 seasons. But everyone always asks me, like, when did you ever call it the other side of the coin? Right there at the 2-minute mark. And then I will never say it again for a year and a half.
Never again.
Oh my gosh, TJ will hear this. I hear TJ is in the audience.
Tej, you're
Hashtag
here.
TJ will hear this.
We'll hear this. Hi, buddy.
Any questions, or should I keep rolling? Should I get us through the intro?
Oh, there's a very sweet question of, if someone told you that this is what would come out of all those failed recordings 3 years ago, what would you have said?
And I've told this story just a little bit beforehand. But when I first decided to do this, I went to Jake and I went to Tass, before we got TJ involved, and I was like, hey, I want to do this thing, and it's going to take this amount of time, and and this is the kind of money that I think I would want to put into it. And they were kind of like, well, maybe you shouldn't like put money into it. I was like, I have to, because like for me, if I try to do this half-assed, I will then spend the rest of my life wondering what will happen if I had put all of the focus into it I could have. And so like, I think I said this to, I can't remember if it was Tass or Jake, but at one point I was like, I don't set out to do anything planning to fail. Like I just can't. I work in the arts for a living. So you have to go in with the mindset of finding a way to succeed and being honest with yourself and knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, where you need help, but where you can shine. And so that's why I spent so much time early on, because it's like, I don't know any of this audio stuff and it's going to sound like hot garbage. So that's the first thing I have to fix before this will have a chance of standing on its own 2 legs. So, yeah.
Let's listen to a little more.
Okay.
Monster of the Week is a powered by the apocalypse game, which means that they have 2 6-sided die, and they'll roll those dice to figure out if they are successful. A 10 to 12 is a really good success, a 7 to 9 is a moderate success, and then a 6 and under is not good for them. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I am playing what's called The Professional. What I'm modeling that after is that I, in real life, work at a theater, a live play, live action theater. I work in a ticket office. So for this, what I have adapted is the playbook called, again, The Professional. What they are is they work for kind of a monster hunting organization. So they're tasked with hunting down paranormal activities in any given area and, taking care of business, whether that's killing the monster or stopping the ghost or finding the werewolf's whereabouts, whatever it might be. That's kind of what they do. For our purposes, we're saying in this Other Side of the Coin universe, I love that, by the way, that the theater at which I work is a cover for this monster hunting agency. The theater's called the Indiana Players Theater, or IPT for short, but what that actually stands for is the Indiana Paranormal Task Force. by day and by night, I guess both in both cases. So.
I mean, because monster hunting doesn't really have hours.
No, it does not.
As the professional, what are some things you can do?
Really, their whole shtick is acting under pressure, which is kind of one of the major moves that anybody can do, but they're especially good at it, whether that's dealing with combat situations, helping out buddies that are in danger, helping civilians that are in danger. They can slide in, take care of business, and get out, whatever that is.
Jake,
Yep.
tell us.
Okay, we'll stop here. Task sliding in. So, yeah, when we were setting this up, we talked about, okay, so what would you be like if your life was just different? How would it be set up? And it was, tasks started out going like, oh, I think I would have to be the professional, and the theater is the cover. And so we spent some time kind of brainstorming and pitching names, because we didn't want to use the actual name of the theater, so we changed a single letter of it.
It's legally distinct.
Legally distinct, so that then we could change and decide like, oh, what's it stand for? As the monster hunting organization. I saw a question scroll by. Does that mean that if Tass had not chosen the professional, that Margaret would not have been in the story? 100%.
Oh no.
The IPT is there because that was the playbook that Tass had chosen. I have no idea how they would have all gotten together, or kind of what the framework would have been without that.
So now that we're getting into the players describing their characters, I want to re-hit Caradol's question. What made you all decide to play yourselves in the first place? And do you regret it?
So when we first went through Monster of the Week when we were at C2E2, it was just kind of like something funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, look at these playbooks. Which one of these would you be? Like, if it was not like which one of these do you want to be, but which one would you be? And so we read through like all of the moves and stuff and talked about like the statistics that they have, and just kind of had a good laugh about it, about like, oh yeah, I guess I'd just be the mundane because I don't know. And we would tell stories about each other. Like TJ has, the mundane has this move where I think it's called panic button, where they can just escape from a situation. And so then we told the story of a time where we were in a parking lot with TJ and he aggroed this guy. And as soon as he realized he aggroed the guy, he just took off like speed walking ahead of the rest of us. And this guy gets out of the car and like yells at him. And by the time this guy does, TJ is gone. And it's just us turning around going, wait, what? What's going on? And so we kind of did that with all of the different moves in everybody's playbooks of like, oh, what would you be? Oh yeah, here's a story that I think shows this would be the move that you would have. And so then ultimately when we decided to do that for the show, it was kind of twofold. One, it was because, like I said, it wasn't something that I had heard before, and I thought it was something different and interesting. And then kind of from a production standpoint, whenever you listen to an actual play podcast, you have two meters that you're filling. You're learning the characters and you're learning the players. And those meters fill up at different times and at different speeds, depending on how much out of character talk they do, how much backstory they do right away. And I liked this because you're doing both at the same time. So you get to know our players and our characters maybe not twice as fast as another show, but pretty quickly, because everything they're doing in character is a decision they would make as the player, and everything they're joking about out of character, for the most part, is something they would joke about in character. So you're kind of taking a shortcut there.
Nice. Chaotic asks, is this going to be spoiler free for later seasons?
Yes, we will only talk about the stuff that is going on in this episode.
Yeah. So you're good.
Yeah.
Teresa asks, did you ever expect the mathematically improbable number of failures that the players would roll?
If you think about this game, you're most likely, statistically speaking, supposed to fail or get mixed successes the bulk of the time, because you're rolling two 6-sided die, and a 6 is a failure. Now, someone, in the first season, Ben did the chart, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Of all of the rolls. but you definitely you wouldn't want it to be any other way, because that's where some of the best story happens. If it was just a story about people constantly succeeding, that's uninteresting. Or if they're only failing when it doesn't matter. But for things to go wrong in important moments, and not necessarily just go wrong, oh, you fail, you lose, but that there's a complication, or that they succeed, but there's a great cost to it. I love that in comparison to like a D20 system where it's like, okay, so yeah, you don't succeed. Like, oh no, you can succeed, but it costs you something. I think so much of the great, so many of our really good moments come from those failures.
Absolutely.
And then on the other hand, those moments then when you get those successes, where it's been a long time since you've heard someone get boxcars and they're rolling on something super important and they hit it, and everybody around the table celebrates together. Yeah.
Was there ever a possibility that Rev would be playing and someone else would keep once Monster of the Week was decided on?
Yes. So when we very first started, it was Jake keeping and me playing.
Yeah.
And that's what I have those kind of first 3 episodes of before we launched.
Let's keep listening.
Okay.
Jake,
Yep.
tell us about who you are and what you do.
Like me? Like
No.
me outside of the playbook?
I don't know. Do you do anything interesting outside of the playbook?
No. So I'm playing the Divine. The Divine is basically angel empowered or like God powered. The shtick here is that at some point I was working on a Thor costume, and then all of a sudden my Mjolnir was very real and heavy because one of the weapons that I get to pick from for this playbook was a thunder hammer, and that sounded pretty sick to me. So I have been given powers by the Norse gods. So I am pretty tough, which helps me fight bad things. I can smite things. I can lay on hands. I can soothe. So if I just talk to somebody gently, then they're supposed to chill out.
Kind of like real life.
Yeah,
Listen
you're-
to that silky voice.
And then I'll get some more angel-y things as we go along. I can get straight up wings. I can...
But not wings that let you fly, right? You're just kind of like an ostrich.
Yeah, I have 2 wings that are about the size of like a chicken wing, but they're on my
good.
full-size body, and they just flap uncomfortably like I don't have control over
God,
them.
he's like Angel from X-Men.
Oh God, when he gets his,
After he gets them cut off, yeah, I've just got little stumps.
he's got wings, but they're barbecue boneless on his back.
And they're on my back. I'm hungry, so I'm going to grab them.
And what about you, TJ? What do you do?
I
Yeah,
am
we'll
the
stop
mon-
there. We'll stop at TJ.
You joke, but Jake in real life does have that soothe ability.
He does.
does.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything specifically about what Jake talked about there. I like this because you do get a sense of everybody's types of humor right away. Just in those first couple of minutes, like, oh, tell us about yourself. What's something interesting to you? Oh man, I don't do anything interesting. So I guess I'll tell you about the game.
Connor asks, did you, since we are talking about Jake the Divine, did you have the pantheon of the universe in mind at this point?
I did. Because it took a while for Jake to decide which one he wanted to go with. Because Jake has such a love of Aquaman that there was a real pull for him to go with the trident. But he ultimately decided to go with the hammer. And so for me, I wanted to know what each god was and what they represented and why that was their weapon. So I did have the pantheon scribbled out in a notebook from the
Nice.
beginning.
I'm still here for the 5 demon bag.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
All right, let's get some TJ.
Okay.
Grab them.
And what about you, TJ? What do you do?
I am the Mundane. And also, the player character that I'm playing is also called the Mundane.
Oh.
Yeah, pity points. Anyway, my character is basically the everyday sort of guy. Like, I guess you'd kind of compare it to Xander in Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Ah,
where
nice.
he just kind of shows up and causes a little bit of ruckus every once in a while, but he also helps out as well. So I have some powers that allow me to go off on my own. And whenever I do that, I get experience, or I can do investigation that way. And then I just am somewhat more lucky.
You're like the accidental hero.
Yeah, basically.
I like it.
And I think the important thing to point out is that TJ is different than NPCs that the players might encounter, because the NPCs are truly mundane, but TJ is still a monster hunter. He's not just an everyday average guy. He still can do things that normal people can't.
Yeah, it's almost like my luck is just a little bit better than most people, so that helps me to get around things, I think.
You're Jar Jar Binks.
I was going to say, like
I
a poor
wouldn't go that
man's
far.
long shot.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah, right? Nobody wants to be Jar Jar Binks.
No.
So in the playbooks, there are also the player histories. You pick a history that goes with each of the other players at the table. This was a little easier since you guys are actually kind of playing yourselves, but at least let's go through them and talk about what ones you picked for each other.
My history with TJ is that I'm supposed to protect him. So whatever gave me my powers, part of the duties therein was, hey, TJ is really important to something that's going to happen. So here are these powers, keep him safe. And so that is my history with him. Is I basically told him, quote, you have a crucial role in what is to come. I am here to guide and defend you, end quote.
When you said that, were they your own words, or were you kind of moving like a puppet? Like something was just like, you are crucial in something that is to come.
I think that is what flashed in my head when I got my powers, and I just recited it verbatim to him.
Your deity was just whispering into your ear.
It was like, TJ is crucial in the events to come. But mine was just more like, TJ is crucial in the events to come, period. I am here to protect and defend you, period.
And you were saying it over like a paper plate full of pizza.
Oh, yeah. I brought it up just real casual while we were hanging out. Oh, hey, kind of related. I have god powers and you're really important. Can you pass me another slice, please? What? And then my history with Tass is they are at heart a good and righteous person. You must help them stay that way, which I feel like
I'm going to pause there just to go, oh, dear.
which I feel like is essentially just real life. So make it in the game.
Yeah, I think we need to make a decision on mine here, because mine with Jake is that we have worked together unofficially in the past successfully. So in some way, clearly I know that you have those abilities, and we've done something successfully with them.
How about this? We were hanging out and we were walking somewhere and there was a cat stuck in a tree and I was like, oh, hold on. And I smashed that tree to bits with a hammer and I got the cat out and high-fived you at the end.
I caught the cat.
Okay, I hit the tree repeatedly and shook the cat loose and you caught the cat. And then we high-fived and we kept the cat. What is our cat's name?
I hate every part of this canon. And what about you and TJ?
We were friends back in training before I was a part of the agency and before I was recruited. And this could be any number of things, which this is kind of part of our real life. We went to college together, acted together, had all sorts of on and off stage shenanigans, including lots of martial arts training and several other things. So yeah, we've really worked together a lot.
Yeah, we're good friends from way back. I obviously don't really know too much about the IPT.
I'm not asking you to collaborate his story.
Oh, well,
I didn't think he was lying.
I basically said we're good friends. Tell them if it's from way back or recently, and I said they're from way back. That's it. That's
So
all
he
they
said
have.
it.
That's all.
Literally
Yeah,
all it is.
And I was trying to
And he
expound on that a little bit.
I'm so uninterested in your guys' friendship, though. That's almost as bad as a threat as you guys owning a joint cat.
Did you hear that? He said almost.
Yeah.
And then Jake introduced me to the existence of monsters, and it says, tell them how you feel about that. Jake?
Yes.
I feel good about this.
Okay, good. I genuinely didn't know which direction that was going to go.
And I genuinely feel good about this monster hunting for the fact that if this actually happened in my life, I'd be totally on board with it because my life is so goddamn boring.
So goddamn boring. Yeah, mine too.
Oh,
Tass,
there's a lot there.
I forget about some of those moments. Oh, man, about
Whatever
being
became
on
of the
sh-
cat.
and their cat. So yeah, using their relationships that they picked from the game, I started to build the kind of the rules of the world, and I knew that, the monster hunting organization had to be important. I knew that TJ had a crucial role to play, and I knew that Tass had the possibility of being corrupted, and Jake needed to protect him from that. And so that's kind of all we went into the story with, knowing that you can't really know where these games go. Now, I don't think at this point of playing this game, we had the full understanding that we do now of how you can't know where this story is going. Like, we'd all played a lot of role-playing games, but just I'm trying to do this thing, and I've gotten a failure, and the book says things go to hell. That's such that is such a new thing if you haven't played a game like this before. And so, the game that I had in my head, the story I had in my head, would have been way worse without all of their decisions and their things that I had not seen coming. The story is so much better off for them throwing me for a loop whenever they take a hard left turn.
Aaron says, now you know why Jake can speak a cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so good. Chaotic asks, who was the main GM of your group before or around the time of the podcast? I think they're talking about in your personal time.
Yeah, so we were playing, it started out, I was running Earth Dawn for Lucky, our two friends, Lucky and Tony, and then Jake and Tass and TJ. And then Tony, I got on a kick and I wanted to learn how to play Pathfinder, and Tony had just learned. And so he ran us through an adventure path that was myself and TJ and Tass and one of their roommates, Lucas, and Larissa. And then when that story ended, it became Jake, because we would just kind of play whenever we had the opportunity. So we had a story that I was running 4 of them through, and then we had a story that Jake would play just when Tass and I were the only ones free. So we would just sit down one night and be like, hey, you guys want to play tonight? Yeah, sure. And it was a very Sherlock Holmes-y story. It was kind of myself as a Holmes character and Tass as a Watson, and it was us solving mysteries. And we've talked so many times about trying to find a way to do that story again. But we ended up naming our investigation firm Further Investigation. And one Christmas, Jake got us business cards for our characters from that, along with like a little dice box instead of dice. And so we really loved that story and those characters. And so we've talked about the possibility of how could we find a way to kind of refresh that story and add some new people in. But it would be different. It's difficult because, like, what do you do in a like a Holmesian story if you want to add in 2 or 3 more players?
Because it is kind of about that duo.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but that is something that from year one we've always talked about, like, how can we get back to this?
Amanda asks, Kim, how did you find out / get into this podcast? Probably a similar way to a lot of you in chat. I found out about it on Reddit. I was looking for actual play podcasts of Monster of the Week, and Reddit recommended the Critshow to me. And then I burned through, I think I started listening around like episode 50 of season 1. And so I burned through like those 50 episodes in just like a matter of weeks. And then I joined the Patreon and joined the Discord, and then I auditioned, and now I'm here. So and Jax asks, what was each player's most egregious breach of table etiquette? Example, leaning too far away from the mic, etc.
There wasn't there wasn't really a whole lot, because we did spend kind of a microphone etiquette boot camp. Like, it was very much, we would do some recording sessions that was just us talking so that I could get everyone used to, because we were recording originally on one channel. And so you couldn't talk over each other because it would become like I couldn't clean anyone else out. And so it was teaching everybody to, stuff that you don't do when you normally game, that you don't try to top anyone, you don't try to talk over them, leaning away from your microphone when you laugh. And it's weird because this is something that, I work with everybody on when they end up working with us, is there is so much, the mic is so important. And the microphone that I'm using right now is not nearly as delicate as the one that we use for the show, but the ones that we use here, like if I'm talking to this microphone right here and I turn and I talk to someone else who's playing the game, and then I come back, there's such a huge difference in sound there that you've got to learn to start tilting your head all the way so that your mouth still stays in front of it, that no matter where you go, instead of your neck being your pivot point, that your mouth is your pivot point, and that your volume dictates how close you are to the microphone, so that as you start to get louder, you automatically start to move back away. And so we spent a lot of time doing that. We always still gave TJ a hard time because he would get so animated that he would start talking off mic, and we would have to like move it. And then as soon as we would adjust it for him, like he would start, he'd be like talking too low. And so we'd move the mic lower, and then he'd sit up straight, and then he'd be talking above the microphone. So there wasn't a whole lot though.
Yeah. The boys are all really good about mic etiquette. Those same notes that Rev just gave, in terms of like really kind of eating your mic and watching your levels and making sure that everything is staying consistent, are notes that I still get. Yeah.
and Jake, Jake, out of all of us when we started, didn't have the same performance background. And once he got those notes a couple times, like Jake is the best at it. Even I think Jake is better at it than me, that he just always projects. He always talks on the microphone. Because the thing that you don't realize is that, they're like, when we're on right now with these people, we know that there's an audience there. So we're pushing our voices a little more, but that's how you always want to be. Because if you just start getting into kind of a more relaxed microphone, and then you get excited about something, when you go to edit that, it's a huge bump. And so, well, I just lost my point. That it's super important to always kind of have that little bit of projection and to talk into the microphone, because sometimes you might make an offhanded comment and someone else will turn it into an amazing joke. But if you said that offhanded comment off mic, that joke dies because we didn't hear the setup. And so Jake has just gotten into the habit that he says almost everything on mic, which makes it really easy. I never have to worry about if his setups or his punchlines have been caught. And sometimes I will get off mic and I'll say something, whatever, and someone else will do a great joke from it. I'm like, I didn't give that setup on mic. So
I just got that note last week.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep listening.
Tass, it's been a few days after you have been given the go-ahead to join the IPT, the actual IPT, not the one where you sell tickets to Noises Off.
Right.
And you get a phone call in the morning. It's Margaret, and she says, "We've got a little problem. I need you to go check out a theater. We're thinking about buying it, and, well, we were buying it because it's got a history of supernatural problems. Well, we had to make it look like we were looking at it for the theater, and so we sent in a couple of designers to check the space and see if it would work, and the lighting designer was killed."
Oh, my God. How?
He fell onto the stage, it seemed like, off of a ladder, and just broke his neck.
So we're assuming that's not an accident.
Well, I mean, he was not known to be clumsy. He was very good at what he did. I can imagine someone who spends 50% of their time on a ladder while doing light hangs and stuff like that would just fall off randomly.
Okay. I mean, I can go check it out, get the lay of the land.
Yeah, the only thing is, though, I mean, we haven't bought the place yet, so it's not going to be just open to the public during the day, so you might need to go at night, jiggle, open window, sneaky, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
We don't have anyone that could join you. Do you know anyone who maybe could give you a hand? I don't know if you can you reach the window by yourself? Do you need a boost?
I could do fine on my own,
Okay. Well, then go by yourself.
but I've got some friends
Oh,
that
no, it's too
might
late.
be-
It's too late. This is a solo mission now.
Oh. No, I've got some guys. I've got some guys.
All right, good. Well, yeah, there's a little bit of a payday in it for them if they help you out.
All right. What's the address? Give me all of the, details, the very specific.
It's the Halifax Theater, and it's right on Drury Lane, right next to the muffin shop. So just head on down there, make sure it's dark, and sneaky.
It
Ghost
sounds
busty.
like she's trying to get you jumped. Like, oh yeah,
Am I
wait,
picking up
wait
her
until it's
weed? What's
nighttime, and then just try to pick that lock. And
There should be a guy there wearing a yellow hat, and you wink at him twice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would give a call to my buddy, I think Jake Purley. Ring.
thank you. Hello.
What's up, buddy?
We would have sat here in silence for 20 minutes until that phone
I
rang.
would have waited for that sound. Nothing. What's going on?
We'll stop there. Yeah, Margaret's voice has changed so much because a lot of these voices I've been doing for so long that they have to be exaggerated in my range so that I can find more in the middles. Margaret started out as much younger. I think she has aged dramatically in these 3 years.
Oh, I love Margaret here. She's so sassy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of love for Margaret. This is when I fell in love with Margaret. Margaret, amazing from day one.
Yeah.
God, I wish Margaret's speech patterns hadn't changed so much. I need more jiggle, jiggle, open window, sneaky, sneaky in the current day podcast.
She's seen some shit now. She's a lot rougher.
I never noticed this before. I like how Margaret needs to tell Tass to do the breaking and entering at night. She knew how B&E was going to go for them. Gosh, this is all so good. Yeah, how does it feel to be listening to all of this and all of these old NPC voices and interactions?
It's great because I love watching everybody respond to it. Like I'm obviously fully aware that the voices have changed and shifted since the point we started. But it's so great to watch everybody respond in chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should you know what? We're at our first hour. Let's do our first giveaway.
Okay.
Let's let the Computron pick a random winner.
Okay.
I'll write these names down.
Penguins, congrats.
Penguins. Congratulations. I will contact you later to get your mailing address, and I'll mail you some of the swag from the closet. This closet's getting too full.
It is.
Of hidden swag. I gotta get rid of some of it,
And Vethic, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Thank you. All right, let's keep listening.
Okay.
That sound. Nothing. What's going on, pal?
Okay, so I guess I'm not sure how to.
He's what? He's my pal.
Okay.
Can we not be pals?
You guys can definitely be pals.
I'm a
I don't
very
think
good
I've
pal.
ever heard you say pal, though.
What is this
You know what?
conference call? Get
Yeah.
off. Am I on speakerphone? I hear TJ responding to the things I'm saying.
It's very echoey, and you hear me peeing into a toilet.
I'm glad you clarified into a toilet.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Tass. What's going on?
Okay, weird question. Your god powers thing.
Yeah.
Is this a thing that you're allowed to make money using?
That's an excellent question. They didn't say that I couldn't, so it's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Oh, okay. I like that. Okay, here's what's going on. So I work for an agency now that hunts monsters.
Sick. How'd you get that?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story, but that's the deal. And, if you're supposed to be keeping people safe and that kind of thing, I could use your help. There is a chance there is something that's hurting people in town, and I'm supposed to go check it out, but I don't really have backup. And I wanted to see if, maybe that was up your alley.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to help you. I can bring TJ along. He needs the practice.
Okay, he's doing okay with his stuff?
Yeah, he's actually coming along really nicely. I keep losing him and then finding him. But here's the weird part, though. In that time, he has somehow figured shit out.
Okay, well, I'll see that. I'll see what I feel about that when I see it.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll come help. Where are you?
I am at the theater.
What the?
My theater. You guys can come here, and then I'll lead you to where we're going.
Okay. See you soon.
Click.
There we go. Full circle. Is there anything you guys are doing before you leave?
I'm gearing up. I need my stuff.
I'm just getting out of the shower.
Good.
Okay, yeah, I'll go knock on the bathroom door, I guess.
Yeah, what's up?
Tass has a mission for us. We need to go fight evil.
Should I bring my nunchucks?
I genuinely, mull it over for a second. I'm like, I don't know how to use nunchucks, so I'm just going to have to assume you're learning that from YouTube videos.
Yep.
He watched,
As you said earlier, I seem to figure it out. I just go off and do my own thing and I figure
and
it
you just
out.
come back with skills. You watch that Bruce Lee playing ping pong with nunchucks video
I
like
did,
a dozen
and
times.
I thought it was the real thing too. It was so well done.
Okay. How you guys getting there?
My car that works pretty well,
Better than my car.
better than his car.
I don't know why I thought you were lying. This way, my car that works better than his. There is some shiftiness in your voice. I know that your car works better, but you seem untrustworthy. What's your charm?
2.
All right. Well, you know what? I believe it now.
All right, good.
So you guys arrive at the IPT.
I think I'd be there waiting, ready to roll out.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Where are we headed?
I'll explain on the way, and I'm going to lead you out to my car, which you guys have seen several times before. It's a haggard-looking old thing, pretty dinged up and kind of rusty, and doesn't look like it's in particularly great shape.
Tass, you just want to take my car? I mean, it's just right around the block. Right?
Nope.
Are you sure? I mean,
Yep.
it's pretty good.
Nope.
Yours is
Just
Whack.
come with me and get in the car, please.
okay.
And as we kind of get in, okay, so we're pretty sure that something killed a guy. We're looking at this old theater. We want to potentially take it over as a new place of operation. But one of the guys checking it out was, well, he died. It looked like an accident, but it just seems very unlikely. So that's what we're going to go do, is essentially try to poke around, see if we find anything unnatural, deal with it if we can. Hopefully it's nothing, and it was just an accident.
How'd he die?
He was up on a ladder poking around, looking at some of the technical stuff up in the grids and the balconies and the, high areas, and just inexplicably fell. Somebody that probably wouldn't have or shouldn't have. But, accidents happen, so we'll see.
So what do you guys do when you get there? It's probably about 11 o'clock by the time you get there.
We'll pause here before they tell me their plan of going in.
I love listening to this.
There's just so much stuff that I forget about until I listen. We when we went to Dragon Con the very first time, it was just Tass and I that went. And at the time we were only at like episode maybe 38 or something. And we did a listen through on the way down because we had never listened to it since we put it out. And it was wild even then to like listen back and see the things that we didn't remember, the jokes that we forgotten about.
Masha says, quote, better than my car, foreshadowing for Jake's car woes. Oh, so good. Enthalpy, I think Jake said he had learned nunchucks recently. I think so. The IRL evolution of Jake learning nunchucks. It's happening. Jax asks, in some later episodes, there's sometimes background noises. Did you ever consider trying to add more of those kind of background noises in the old episodes?
No. And it's not that it's weird because we've had this conversation multiple times. The thing that I like about this show not having a whole lot of stuff in the background is that it makes it accessible to everyone. We don't have a lot of sections where someone trying to listen maybe can't because of what's going on. I think that there is a way to do it that is beneficial to the people that would enjoy it, and it also doesn't make it harder for the folks that would be, an issue or a blockade for. But this show just doesn't seem right for it since we're so far into it. Maybe on a future show, if we start off with the knowledge that we're going to do that stuff, but for me, it's such a fine line of the additional audio overlapping or interrupting what's going on and kind of losing track of that, again, that feeling at the table of being at the table.
Yeah, and it looks like chat agrees with you. A lot of people saying, I'm so thankful that you largely don't have sound effects because it's hard to process voices with background sound effects. Absolutely. Yeah. And then I feel like when you do incorporate music and stuff like that, it's a cue for all of our listeners. Like, oh, something important's happening.
I've said that before on AMAs. I'm like, listen, if music starts, fucking buckle up.
Oh no, Rev's monologuing.
Something's about to go down.
Oh, Mithril asks, whatever happened to the IPT cruiser?
I think I'm trying to remember. I have a thought in my head of where it is and what happened to it last, but I don't want to, in case anyone is just kind of starting out.
Yeah.
But I think it meets its demise in a very specific show, but I could be mistaken.
Okay. All right, let's hear this plan.
Okay.
So what do you guys do when you get there? It's probably about 11 o'clock by the time you get there. You know, you got quite a few hours before it's dark, before you could sneak in unseen, hopefully.
I definitely want to just watch, kind of see if there are people coming in and out, any owners of the building or people doing any renovations, anything like that at all, and see if we essentially have anybody that we're going to have to contend with that might still be in the building by the time we want to sneak in.
Yeah, throughout the course of the day, you don't see anybody. Really, IPT were the only people that were interested in the space. There's no one going in and out. They know that the body has been taken away yesterday when it happened.
Okay, so yeah, I think we'd just be kind of shooting the shit and watching. And
while we're shooting the shit, I'm like looking around in the back seat, seeing if there's any like cool stuff like in a case or anything like that. You know, a la Tim from Jurassic Park, and he finds the binoculars that are like night vision goggles or something.
Oh, gosh. As you look through the pocket behind the seat and the ashtray built into the door and the pull-down sun visor above your head, things just come out. Shotgun shells, grenades, some very long, what you can only assume are sniper bullets.
Dude, you got like a lot of bullets and stuff back here.
And you look back and he's literally just holding a handful of like shotgun shells and cartridges and
grenades. Yeah. I didn't know you did grenades and shit. I thought it was like, all crosses and crossbows and holy water.
Other words with cross in it.
CrossFit. Hot cross buns. Crossword puzzles.
David Cross is back there.
Cross stitch. There is a cross stitch back there. And it says, God bless this mess.
Yeah, no, dude. Like, monsters don't kill themselves. So
cool. Can I keep a grenade?
No.
Please.
Okay, well, I'll make you a deal.
Uh-huh.
No.
Please.
Have you been watching YouTube videos about how to use grenades?
I have not.
Then no.
I pull up my phone and I just like start looking for.
I thought you were going to say the pin.
I pull out the pin.
This is mine till I let it
This is how it works, right?
He's just keeping us all hostage.
Who's in charge now?
I pat TJ on the shoulder reassuringly. It's okay, buddy. You're getting there. I believe in you. But not yet. And I gently take the grenade away from him and I put it back where it belongs.
In the cup holder.
In the cup holder?
Then I take that grenade out of the cup holder and I put it in my pocket. A grenade that isn't really a thing that I'm supposed to have.
Why aren't you supposed to have it?
Because that's not one of the weapons I took.
Good. All right. Well, I guess you could have let him keep it then, and if it wasn't.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
if you love it,
hell
let
no.
it free. And
No, I wanted that grenade.
wait, don't let a grenade free. Actually.
This is what we call a gimme, so I took my gimme.
Yeah, that's fair. So it gets nice.
I know that we won't get this far, but I do want to point out that grenade that TJ generated into the world through his poking around and me saying, oh, yeah, there's just some grenades there. The task then keeps. Becomes very important later.
Yes. That's where that grenade comes from.
Yep. So yeah, that grenade does come up later, and it sure matters. So.
I missed a comment from Tass really early when he was in chat when we were talking about his playbook. Tass mentioned that when he was doing the professional, having a vehicle was apparently the hardest sell of playing the professional.
Yep. Yeah, because the car that Tass was driving at the time had such bad luck. Like, it was almost always on a donut. The rear suspension didn't work anymore, so whenever we went over railroad tracks, like, you could hear just the frame hitting against metal. He'd had some issues where the sunroof had leaked, and so it just always smelled of mildew because it got into like the seats and stuff. Like he just had that poor car, rickety cricket. It was so noisy, and not the parts you would think should be noisy. Like it wasn't like the muffler was noisy. It was like when he would turn to the left.
This crew has bad luck with cars, just sort of across the board.
Yeah.
3 people in chat all said Chekhov's grenade at once. Congrats.
Yeah, totally fair. Chekhov's grenade.
Totally fair. Let's keep going.
Okay.
My gimme.
Yeah, that's fair. So it gets nighttime. I assume that you guys are going to go out now and attempt to get inside the Halifax Theater.
Absolutely. What is the situation with like streetlights and stuff?
There are streetlights on the outside. There is an alley on each side of the Halifax Theater, and you can tell that the lot behind it is condemned.
What do you think, boys? I'm thinking darkness is the better
Yeah, I
course.
say we at least check down an alley, maybe go all the way around the back. I don't know. We'll see what's on the sides.
Yep.
Sure.
Let's do that. I'm going to grab a couple of things out from a little strong box under the seat.
And what are those things?
One is a 38 that I will holster on my hip. And then I have a shotgun, which I'm going to slip into a sheath on my back.
Anything else anyone wants to grab?
Well, I've got my nunchucks.
And I have my hammer.
Oh, and I also have like a little mini multi-tool as well. So if I need to jimmy a lock or something.
All right, so you grab your gear from the lockbox underneath your seat, and you guys head across the street. Where are you going? What are you doing?
I think we'll head for that alley.
Okay, left or right alley?
Is one of them darker than the other?
Is one of the alleys named Kirsty?
No,
That-
one
that
of the
would be the
alleys
wider
is,
alley.
is not darker than the other. I refuse to acknowledge what he just said to me. He knows how I feel about Kirsty Alley.
I'm going to go down the right alley.
Okay, what are you guys doing?
I'm following him. Unless he specifies a different plan, I believe that he knows what he's doing, and I'm going to stick with him.
And as they're both following each other, I will also go to a different alley.
You gonna try to sneak away?
Yeah,
Why don't you roll me and act under pressure?
will do. 5. That's with
Excellent.
my cool.
So with a 5, with act under pressure, a 6 and under simply states that things go to hell. As TJ starts to peel off from you guys, you're headed down the right alley, and he cuts in front of the building to get to the left alley. We see this figure lunge out, grab him, and pull him inside, unbeknownst to the two of you.
I get experience for that.
You do. Tell us why.
Because I have a power called, don't worry, I'll check it out. And anytime I go off on my own to a scary situation, I get experience.
Gotcha.
You also get an experience just for failing the roll. Because every time anybody fails a roll in this game, you get an experience.
That's what I was just wondering. Did you successfully scope out the scary situation? Or,
Well, I didn't know it was scary at the time,
yeah,
so I guess...
we'll give you the experience for failing the roll.
Okay, all right. That's fair. Point of interest. I also have a power called Always the Victim, wherein if I get captured by the monster, then I mark experience as well.
Oh, that's fair. Then you get 2 points of experience.
Okay.
He is
Gosh, he
leaps
gets
and
2
bounds.
experience points, and he gets to sit out for a half hour. It's like his dream job.
Nap.
He just took off his headphones
Take
and
it from here, boys.
laid down in the kitchen, cuddled up with the dog, and went to sleep. So you guys are in the alley.
I'm looking.
I don't know that I don't have anything against Kirstie Alley. It's just sometimes the moment of improv hits and I don't cut it. And again, that was one of those moments that I couldn't cut because we were single channel, and so there was important information that was said there that I could not cut out to get rid of that joke. So
Saying TJ really knew the tricks to power leveling and Monster of the Week. Yeah, a good start.
not even that, you know, TJ took those because those are things TJ does. Like those are TJ moves. And so him just breaking off from the group and going a different direction and not saying anything to anyone is such a good first moment for his character, and then getting kidnapped because it's absolutely something that would happen to TJ.
Chad is livid that you even considered trying to cut the Kirstie Alley joke.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it comes up again later. I think someone else says something about Kirstie Alley, and someone asks, and I'm like, she knows what she did. I don't know. And then Jake's like, here, Sally, I'm sure she's a lovely person.
I'm sure she's a listener.
Yeah. All right.
So you guys are in the alley.
I'm looking for a door.
Okay. Why don't you investigate a mystery?
Okay.
The mystery of how to get into the Halifax Theater.
Love it. 7.
So how are you looking around? Do you have a source of light? Do you have...
I am using the flashlight on my iPhone.
Excellent, excellent.
This week's episode sponsored by Apple.
Oh my God, you guys are not going to believe who's at the door right now.
What is the... what was your roll?
7.
7. All right, so that gives you a hold 1. Do you have a question you'd like to ask?
I want to see what's being concealed here in the way of the easiest access into the building.
Great. So you see that in this alley, down almost at the end where the corner would be turned to go to the back of the building, there is a door that has been painted on to the building. It looks like kind of a piece of scenery that they've painted on the outside, but the door is actually a door. But you would almost miss it if you didn't see just the little protrusion of the handle sticking out.
Nice. I'll try the handle.
It's open.
Okay, that was easier than I thought. And then I'm going to look back to my boys.
Well, not boys. Boy, you see only Jake. TJ's not there.
Where did he go?
So I look around and I realize that TJ's gone.
Yeah, he's sure not there.
And I'm like, God damn it. And then I get struck by lightning, probably. Gosh darn it.
Little shock.
You want a third one on that?
No, it's just going to get worse, I think.
Gee willikers.
It's one direction.
Jeez.
One direction or the other. Is it more G-rated or is it more R-rated? I don't
Okay.
know. I want to roll to investigate a mystery to figure.
And that was, when we first started, I had gotten in my head that we were going to try to do the show without saying fuck, because then we could post on iTunes without being explicit, and which would open us up to more listeners.
Mhm.
And so, this becomes a running joke for the first, 20 episodes or so, where every now and then someone will say one, and I would keep it and bleep it out. And it became a game for us at the table that I don't know that we ever said to the audience, but that like one fuck every episode stayed and it got bleeped out. And it was the one that I thought was the funniest, that the bleep made the funniest moment. And so it became a game for us at the table of who would get the fuck.
Who would get the fuck?
And so, ultimately we ended up killing that because it just, it wasn't us, it didn't really fit right with just the way that everybody talks. And so the very first one, it was very sweet. The not the fuck wasn't sweet, but that's a whole weird, I'm just gonna, let's forget I said all of those words in that
Clip it, clip it, clip it.
Yep. So what I was gonna what I mean is that the very first time that I left a fucking unedited was a moment that Tass was really upset, and it was a really serious moment. And I was like, oh, that's good. That stays in. And at the end of the episode, I put in like a little after credits thing and said, hey, just so you know, I left this in on purpose because I thought it was impactful. And if I took it out, it would have made the sentence less. And if I beeped it, it would have made it funny. And that's not really what that moment was about. And so you'll start to notice that from here on out, I'm going to stop bleeping them. We're just going to leave them in. But what was really sweet was that, this was episode... I can't even remember. I know exactly the story arc it was in.
I know the arc it was in.
Yeah, it was in the Elnor arc.
Yeah, it was in Elnor.
So it must have around been like 18 or something.
Yeah, it was like 18 or 20.
But people heard that first one, and I woke up that next day. I must have had 30 emails from people like, oh my gosh, just so you know, you accidentally forgot to bleep this one. And then almost every single one of those emails had a second reply saying, oh, never mind, I just heard the ending. About me saying like, oh, it's okay, I'm going to leave them in. But it was so nice that all of these people were like afraid for me or like being cautious for me. Like I'm never offended when someone emails me and is like, hey, there's a thing here. Like this, you say this line twice. I just didn't know if you were aware. Or, oh, this thing happened. That's usually stuff that I'm not aware of. I've missed. And I'll drop in and fix it real quick. So it was very cool to wake up and have all of these people like, oh my gosh, just so you know this happened in case you want to fix it. Oh, never mind. You said that's the intention. Never mind. I hope it doesn't bother you that I let you know. It's like, no, it was really sweet. So
I think you've also said before that initially it was you banned saying fuck at the table just so that people would kind of get it out of their lexicons a little bit.
yeah, because they were like, depending on who you are and who you talk to, people just use it as a comma.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a word that was used so often. Like, it was one of those things where there was one sentence that it had like 7 in it. I was like, okay, this sentence barely even has any actual words now. And so I removed them for that reason as well. And now it's not really much of an issue.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
Okay.
I want to roll to investigate a mystery to figure out where TJ went.
Do it.
That's a 7 plus sharp, which is nothing. That's a 7.
All right. You get a hold 1.
Where did it go?
You start to track your footsteps back, just looking. I assume you grab Eric's iPhone and use the light on it too.
I have my own.
Oh, okay. Do you keep it near your hammer? That's real dangerous.
I think that the iPhone's in my right pocket and the hammer's in my hand.
So you start to track back the footsteps that you have made through this alley. You get your phone out of your pocket and turn the light on. And you realize that as you guys came across the street, you can see pretty clearly that your footsteps go off into the right and that TJ's start to go left, but then you can see almost like his heels were drug towards the front door, but the front door is closed.
I want to try the front door.
It's locked, and you guys are in the light, just in the sense of you're dressed in armor with a giant hammer. You are now in the street lights, so there's a chance of traffic coming by and seeing you, or someone neighbor calling the cops.
I guess go back down the alley.
Yes, I absolutely miss an Eric.
Yeah,
there,
Eric.
I have. By the time that I caught that, we've changed equipment, and so if I tried to swap that line out, it would sound so different. I don't know if it's apparent to the people listening through Twitch, but even the audio quality for me is so different here compared to where we are now, just because of the upgrade in equipment that we've gotten. But yeah, it's not something I could fix now and have it not sound weird.
I guess go back down the alley and in the door that I know will open.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm just telling him, like, what I noticed. It looks like TJ got drug inside. We need to get in there as quickly as possible and figure out what happened to him.
Okay, well, that sort of answers one thing at least. If you said something dragged him in, that's not great. So I'm going to get my shotgun out and open that door.
So you open the door, and inside it's just really dark.
Do you have just a regular flashlight?
What's wrong with the phone
It's so
light?
weak. It doesn't go very far.
Mine's really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine's not. My iPhone flashlight doesn't light a very good area. I got to hold it like pretty close to whatever I want to actually see detail of. I feel like all it does is give me away in the dark.
Which is what a flashlight does.
But a flashlight at least also helps me see things.
Okay. I'm out to my car and I'm going to grab a mag light
Okay.
and come back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll take the mag light.
All right. Look for lights. Look for a switch.
I do that.
All right. Roll to investigate a mystery. The mystery of where are the lights?
All right, so I'm gonna hit this moment too, because, and this is just this is a thing that comes up all the time. Why in the world do I have them rolling investigate a mystery to find light switches? And for anyone who has heard this episode, and it was just me being a dummy, but the very first creature I put them up against in a game where we're trying to explain and show the rules used properly, I made one of its weaknesses light. And so they had to do a roll to get light. But normally that would not be a roll they would ever have to do. And so it's come up many times, like, why does he make them roll to find the light switches? And it's like, well, because it's the creature's weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's difficult to find. It's being hidden. Like, that's not something that they know at the time, but the darkness is trying to hide that from them. So it's just something I always think about whenever I hear this, is like, I can't believe it's like Mission Impossible. Like how the first Mission Impossible was not really about what it's like to be on the Mission Impossible team. It's the exception to the rule. And so like this first roll here for act under pressure or investigate a mystery, whichever that was, is the exception that proves the rule.
Investigate a mystery.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm good. Keep going.
The mystery of where are the lights?
I don't do that, but I do get an experience point.
Oh, great. So yeah, you start to look around using the flashlight to try to find some kind of a light switch, and you step on, it sounds like a light bulb, and you hear this loud pop sound, and it kind of echoes through the theater, and all of a sudden you have the sense that it may have been audible just everywhere.
Oh, darn. And I'm going to get down and see what that was.
It was a light bulb.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course, there's a light bulb there on the ground. Why wouldn't there be?
Yeah, and if you look up, you see that there's a couple of lighting instruments, and one of them has been torn apart. Someone had laid the pieces out to put it back together and then never got back around to it.
Lovely. Okay, let's keep moving.
Yeah, I want to move in and towards the direction of the front door, where the front door would be.
Okay, and are you giving up on the search for a light switch?
I will look for a light switch.
Okay, roll it.
Oh, my God. I get experience.
Great. So you're like, God, how did you step on that light bulb? Let me find the light switch. And as you do so, you trip over him as he's bent over trying to get the pieces of light bulb out of his shoe. And you hit a wall. And as you hit the wall, a door slides open that you didn't quite see. And you see a set of glowing eyes inside looking at you.
Oh, shit. And I try to backpedal out.
Act under pressure.
Whew. 7.
All right. So
8, actually.
All right, so with an 8, this is our first act under pressure that wasn't just a straight-out failure. For act under pressure, on a 7 to 9, you get a worse outcome, a hard choice, or a price to pay. Your worst outcome is that you don't make it out the door, and you have to face whatever this is. Your hard choice is that you can make it out of the door and away from this thing, but you're going to leave Jake between you and it. Or your price to pay is that you can get both of you a couple more steps away, but you're pretty sure that this thing is going to get a swipe at you.
I think I just don't make it out.
So you start to back up, and you realize that there's not a good, clean way to get out. And this set of glowing eyes moves closer to you and lunges in your direction. As it does, it appears in the light for just a brief moment, and it looks like a small ragdoll figure, but made out of fluctuating, shifting shadow. And as it lunges towards you, you see its fingers get longer, and it stabs into your foot. And you realize that this thing can't be more than 7 or 8 inches high. It must have been up on something high when it was looking at you before. And then it pulls its hand out of your foot and starts to back up and hiss at you. You take 1 harm.
I actually don't take that harm.
Why?
Because all of the agents at IPT, our outfits are retrofitted with armor underneath.
How much armored?
+1.
Oh, okay. So you take 1 less harm when attacked physically.
That is exactly right.
All right. You see this thing take a few steps back from you.
I'm going to hold the gun up, like not point it at it, but like hand up and then gun pointed at the sky. Whoa, hey, you're a cool looking little dude. I mean you no harm. We're just here to help.
As you say that, you see 2 more sets of eyes appear in the dark room.
Oh, cool. There's lots of you cute little guys.
So you hear him saying this as he's tripped over you and knocked over this door.
Can I see the eyes?
Yes.
What are those?
I don't know.
Why are you so happy about this?
I'm trying to put out a positive vibe towards what I assume is a predator.
As you guys are having this conversation and you're watching the eyes in the dark room, you see that they get really close to each other, and it almost looks like they combine because the size of the eyes get a little bigger and a little higher, and then again, and now you see larger eyes standing at about 2 feet high.
And it's just one set now?
Yep, and the hiss is a little deeper.
Oh, that's a good trick. I'm going to go talk to my buddy about that trick calmly. And I'm just going to
You see the eyes get lower as if it's leaning down to pounce forward.
I'm going to throw my hammer at it, please.
All right. Roll kick some ass.
Damn it.
No.
That is, oh man, that's a 6. That was so close to at least functioning.
You go to throw your hammer. What kind of damage does your hammer do?
It does 3 harm, hand stun, holy.
Great. You whip this hammer back to throw it, but really you're used to swinging it like a mallet. And on the forward throw, you must have gotten some grease or something on the floor because it slips out of your hand and lands on your head, dealing you 2 points of damage.
Okay. I am going to reduce that by 1 because of my armor. So I take
Great.
1 harm.
Okay. And your hammer is on the floor next to you. This thing lunges and swipes out at you.
At me?
Yes. Is
I
there
don't
anything you'd
like
to do?
that.
Can I protect him?
No, you've just been hit in the head with your own hammer. Would you like to act under pressure to get away?
Yeah.
Okay.
I very much like that.
Roll it.
8.
So again, an 8 gives you a couple of choices. You can either not get away because you're going to block Jake from this monster. You can dive out of the way knowing that the creature will most likely hit Jake. Or you can get out of the way, but you're pretty sure that if you do, it's going to hit that stand of lights and make a whole lot more noise. So if there's anything else in this building, it's going to know you're here.
I am going to start to backpedal and realize that I know I'm not going to make it and just brace for it.
All right. So this thing lunges out and it swipes at you again. And you can see that it is indeed about 3 times larger. It's got these large yellow eyes. And again, it's got this skin that almost kind of looks like fluctuating, pulsing shadow. And the fingernails come out and slash across your stomach and you take 2 harm.
Oof. So I get to reduce that by 1, but still.
Okay.
Ow. Okay. I think that I take that hit and I kind of stagger back and I see Jake is on the ground now?
He's bending over to pick up his hammer.
I don't think I am. I don't think I would bend over to pick up my hammer. I think if I got hit in the head with the hammer and then the thing went at him, I think I would just try to punch it in the face like real hard.
Oh, God. Do you have a damage for just your...
Yeah, my smite counts. I do 2 harm
Oh, I see.
unarmed.
Okay. How does smite work? Tell me about it.
It always counts as a weakness against the monster I'm fighting. Any attack I do against a monster counts as its weakness. And if I don't have a weapon, then I do 2 harm. That also still counts as a weakness.
Oh, okay.
2 harm.
We're going to pause there so we can answer some of these questions.
Yes. Okay. First of all, the dice curse was alive from just the very beginning, it seems.
Yeah.
So I have a question about act under pressure.
Yeah.
Did you giving 3 choices, was that because you literally thought that rules as written you had to give 3 choices, or is that just you wanted to give your players choice with act under pressure?
I read rules as written that way, and it just made sense to me because, like, I feel like when you were in a moment in your life and, like, something's happening and it's like, oh, no, that you have that brief moment of, like, oh, I'm tripping and falling. Well, I could try to roll, or I could catch myself on my hands and really muck my hands up, or I could try to take it on my shoulder. Which am I going to do? And you do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was one more piece of letting the players decide the story that they wanted to tell. And so so it was a little of both.
Brett asks, do you still try to explicitly have 1 hard choice, 1 price to play? 1 price to pay and 1 not quite succeed, or do you just look for interesting options?
Yeah, I just look for interesting options. I don't use a don't succeed anymore because I don't like that. I'd rather give you 3 different interesting options. They're almost always a price to pay and a hard choice, but I don't do a not succeed anymore.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that it's just honoring the sort of partial success. You can still do what you're trying to do. It's just gonna you just might have to pay a little bit for it. Susan asks, Rev, would you do anything different with the Halifax story if you could go back?
The only thing I can think of that I might do differently would be to let them go earlier so that, and I'm trying to answer this question without doing any spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have the opportunity to examine the body of the person who was killed.
Okay.
Because that would give them information that becomes super relevant in like season 2.
Absolutely. Yeah.
End of season 1, season 2. So that would really be the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that I would do differently.
Mithril, talking about the what we now know, or what we don't know yet, is the soul bat hurting Tass and Jake. Is this the moment where Rev decided to make most attacks armor defeating?
It's tricky because when you have some players that have armor and you have some players that don't, you have to make a choice because a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games is that by the moves the players are taking, they are telling you the kind of story they want to be in. So if you have a lot of characters taking armor, they're telling you they want to fight. They want to take hits and not feel the ramifications. And so my options became, okay, do I have creatures who do more damage, knowing that if it hits TJ, who doesn't have any armor, it's just going to screw him up? Or do I make, every whatever fourth creature armor defeating so that they're all taking the same kind of damage, but then they are getting saved on some more kind of mundane things, or from the bulk of creatures. So yeah, it was armor defeating became for me I don't want like TJ to instantly get murdered by something in a fight because they're doing so much damage, because from the what I'm getting from Jake and from Tass, they keep taking armor, so they want to be hitting things, they want to get hit. And so yeah.
And Z-Mage asks, how much preparation / experience at running Monster of the Week did you feel that you needed before putting it out there for the world?
I had only ran Monster of the Week maybe 3 times before we started recording the podcast, and all of those were this same scenario, and us like testing the microphones and testing the games, and making sure we knew the mechanics. And then prep wise, I kind of used the first session to let me know the things that I didn't know, if that made sense. Like, oh, what came up that I didn't know, or what did I prep that I didn't need? Like, I prep way less now than I used to, and I prep different things. So now, if it seems important to me to have a map, I will prep that. If there are certain things I think they could possibly find, I will prep that. But when you go really far forward to other stories, I know what it is, I know why it's doing it, and I know the outcome if they are unsuccessful. Other than that, you don't really have to prep a whole lot, because if you prep a whole lot, you might find yourself in a situation where the players are not going that direction. And so all of that preparation is either not going to get used, or you find yourself kind of trying to steer them back to what it was you thought they were going to do, and that kind of defeats the purpose. That's the nice thing about Pathfinder and D&D and stuff, is that it's easier to get players back on track towards a goal, because there are kind of things in the rules to help you with that, and it's kind of just totally against the spirit of the thing for Powered by the Apocalypse to do that.
One more question before we start listening again, and let's try to talk generally to avoid spoilers. How much meta narrative did you have at this point of things, of your kind of larger arc that was going on?
Okay. Yeah. So, oh boy, how can I say this?
I know.
I knew who had done it.
Okay.
And I knew that they could be an ally, possibly. And I knew that was really the big thing that I knew, is I knew who had done this and why, like what it was they were accomplishing for themselves. And I knew, obviously, the deal with the lighting designer. And I did know, we won't get to this in this episode, but it's in this first story arc. Candles become really important. And I knew all the colors of the candles and what their importance was in the ritual that was being done. And that ritual, obviously, still relevant,
Absolutely.
in episode, or in season 4 even.
Great. Let's keep listening.
All right. Let's do another winner.
Another giveaway? Okay.
Yeah.
This congrats sidecar V girl.
Okay. All right, so we will need to make sure to get a hold of you,
Yes.
so that we can get information for you to send you a prize.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
2 harm, intimate, hand, messy with unarmed attacks.
Great. Roll kick some ass.
Yeah, boy.
That is a 10.
Great. So choose one extra effect.
I think I just want to inflict terrible harm.
And that does
Is-
how much more?
+1. So a total of 3 harm on this thing. I think that I just really, I see it going after my friend, and I just blast this thing as hard as I can.
You wind up, your fist glows a little bit, and you hit it for 3 harm because you're doing just extra damage to it based off of its weakness. It grabs onto your forearm, giving you 2 damage in return, but actually only 1 damage.
Because of me armor.
And as it's hit, it splits into 2 much smaller versions of itself.
Pick a dance partner.
Okay, so I see them split. Whichever one is closer to me, I'm going to level the shotgun and pull the trigger.
Roll it.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
boy. Oh, but it is still technically a 9.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And what is your shotgun's descriptive verbs?
Oh, yes. The descriptors for my shotgun are 3 harm, close, messy.
So you pull your shotgun out and you pull the trigger right in its face. It slashes out at you and does 2 damage, but you can see that it stops moving and it actually starts to melt into a puddle.
Oh, my God. I think I got one.
TJ, you're walking towards the alley and you pass the door and you get this weird sensation that you're being watched. And before you have the opportunity to turn and see what's going on, you feel yourself being pulled into the theater. You're left inside the door, but you don't feel like you're being held anymore. You're just in this dark room.
And it's completely dark.
It is completely dark.
I'm going to pull out my phone lights.
I hope you're all keeping track of your battery percentages.
100%, except whenever, I use it during the day and
yeah.
everything.
It's at
which-
like 14% because we've
probably
been sitting
about-
in
like
that
nine-
car
oh,
all
God,
day.
yeah. So yeah, I pull out my phone light. I check my battery. It's probably about 14%. This isn't good. So I'm gonna investigate this place that I'm in.
All right.
Where am I?
Yeah. Roll investigate a mystery.
Yeah.
I love that, giving them all the option in this darkness with this creature that they don't yet necessarily know is weakened by light, that TJ hamstrings himself by saying that his phone is
His
at 14%.
phone is almost dead.
It's just such a honest, then that may have even been a conversation off mic of okay, what's your phone at right now? Yeah, all right, 14%.
Mithril, real quick, says, I'm really surprised listening back at the start here how everyone was already so good at working together towards the common goal of creating an interesting narrative and enabling each other to do neat things.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a big, in a big way, it was just the same energy we had in our games. Nobody wants to be in a group where there's one person who's always showing everybody up. And so we worked really hard in our Pathfinder and our Earthdawn games to, not just spike the ball, but also set it and bump it for other people. So
Yeah, you all are very generous players.
All right.
Nice.
That would be an 11.
Great. So you get hold 2. Do you have 2 questions you'd like to ask?
I do. Where did it go? The thing that drug me into this particular part of the theater.
And what's the other question you might ask?
The
Just out of
other
curiosity.
question, what sort of creature is it?
You start to flash the light around.
that's one of my favorite things to do when people tell me their questions for investigative mysteries, to ask them what they think the other one might be, because sometimes it's more fun to give the full narrative that answers all of their questions at once. Now, sometimes I give them a piece of information, they're like, oh, okay, well, what I would want to know is this instead. That's a whole other thing. But I like the opportunity to, hey, what's the other thing you would notice? And I do want to point out too, actually, that earlier on with Jake and his smite ability, that instantly we made the decision that his smite ability, while it counted as a weakness against the things he was fighting, so it was armor defeating damage to them, it did not count as its
weakness
to ultimately destroy it, because wow, what a move that would be. And I think that is how it's written, but we decided at the table, like, no, that doesn't, like, that would just make everything so easy. It seems like if all you ever need is the chosen's, or is the divine's weapon, and that always counts as the monster's weakness, that's half the mystery gone there. So
Yeah, I feel like that that eliminates a lot of the sort of investigating and trying to figure out what kind of monster it is, because then it would just be like, we found the monster, let's throw Jake at it.
Yeah. Yes, the raffle does remember you. It remembers.
Yes, it remembers all currently 40 eligible users.
Excellent.
Which means that there's still 19 who haven't entered, so you should get on that.
Okay.
You start to flash the light around, and you see this figure on its knees inside of the lobby of this theater. Your flashlight almost seems like the light from it's being absorbed, and you see that little puddles of this shadow are dripping off of this figure, and they're kind of popping up into these little doll shapes and running away. They have these little yellow eyes. You can see them running deeper into the theater. And with everyone that comes off, you can see more and more of the person underneath. And the shadows start to disperse entirely into a pool around this person. And the figure looks up, and it's me. And I'm breathing heavy, and I am panicked. And I say, TJ, you have to help me. And the shadows reach up, grab me, and pull me back into the darkness. And now you're in the lobby by yourself again.
I'm going to try and go after you.
Roll act under pressure. You're going to try to chase through the darkness.
Okay.
So here's a story actually that I don't think I've told before. So the first time we recorded, I said before that I had run Monster of the Week 3 times, and I had ran it 3 times because the first time was to test it. The second time was to record it, but there were issues with the recording. Like, it was unusable. So we had to record it a third time. And so when I recorded it the third time, that's when I changed the story in a big way so that it was not the same experience for them. And that was such a good fill-up for ice cream. So the way that this story originally went was that when they solved the problem, I was not there with Shecky, Thur, and Mile, but I called them afterwards and asked them to come by my place. And they came by my place, and I was sitting, like Rev in the game, was sitting in a situation much like where we record, that I was in front of a microphone, I had headphones on, and the door was unlocked. And they came in, and they said hello and stuff, and I just smiled and nodded, and I gestured to the microphones. And they were like, okay. And so they all came and they sat down and they put the headphones on. And I started talking to them, and they could hear me through the headphones. And then at some point, for some reason, someone took them off and they realized they couldn't hear me unless they had the microphones on. And I'm like, guys, the reason I called you to come help me is because someone's murdered me, and I need you to figure out who. And so I was a ghost that could only communicate with them through electronics. And so having that kind of that was like the kind of the original cliffhanger of the first, not even the first episode, it was the end of the first story arc. I was like, well, I want to work myself into this a different way, a way that they won't see coming. And so then I made myself trapped by the soul bat. But yeah, it partially was a joke that I built myself into the world because they had all at some point made the threat that, like, oh yeah, when I level up, I get a chance to make another hunter and play them both, and I'm gonna make you.
So you had to
I'll beat you to
preemptively
it.
make yourself.
Yeah, I had to preemptively make myself so that one of them wouldn't control me.
Z-Mage asks, how awkward was that sentence for you to say? Like, and you see the figure looks up and it's me.
I've been doing theater and stuff for so long that there's no, it was fine.
Yeah, we have no,
and it made and I think too for TJ, it probably made that moment more of a connection because I could look at him instead of being like, oh, and you look and it's this person that we both know that's not here in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But like, no, it's me. And then, I'm able to look at him as I'm saying this. And as I'm talking to you, the darkness reaches out and grabs me and just pulls me away. And so that he reacts to that description of it actually being me. So
Connor asks, not really in regards to this specific moment, but did you have any other playbooks you considered for yourself?
no, when we did the thing at C2E2, it was always the expert was the one that made the most sense for me. And so, and I've said this before, that they kind of like NPCs, a couple NPCs have like half playbooks.
Half a playbook.
Like none of them have a full playbook, but I have given some of them moves from a playbook. Specifically 2, maybe 3 that I can think of.
Yeah. When did you start referring to game rev in the third person?
Probably right away, because I think after this moment of saying it's me, from then on it's always, I think that it's always in third person so that it doesn't get confusing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Masha asks, before we get started, how do you determine the way in which you describe a scene/creature? Your descriptions are always really incredible and emotion provoking.
It's funny because a lot of times I don't think I do enough description for some people. And it's been brought up before that there are super important characters that I've never said a word of what they look like. And partially I'm doing that on purpose because I want you to fill in who you picture when I describe that person's personality, because that's going to make you connect to it more. Now, for people who are wanting to do cosplays or draw fan arts and stuff, it's a pain in the ass. And I totally get that. But for me, it is really about atmosphere. Chekhov, not Chekhov the gun Chekhov, but the other acting Chekhov, talks so much about atmosphere, that you want to generate an atmosphere, because if you create an atmosphere, then it becomes about how do the people in that environment behave. It's not about like, oh, I have to be scared, I have to be angry. So we've created an atmosphere of darkness and silence. How do you feel in that? And like, if I can paint the atmosphere, then we all have a different kind of impression of how we would react in that place. And so you're doing Romeo and Juliet. People aren't in the church scene being holy. They're not being, loving, but no, they are in the atmosphere of a church. We all know what it feels like to step inside of a church. Okay, what are qualities of it? Oh, well, it's quiet. Everything kind of echoes, and there's just a sense of everyone together there. And so you want to generate that atmosphere. So I focus a lot more on that than the actual descriptions of the NPCs and the monsters and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Velar. I also have aphantasia. But yeah, Mithril says, kind of a more general question, but since everyone is playing themselves, how is their Perilous Tides campaign going compared with our current timeline? That's one of my favorite inside jokes, that Hero Salad is just like a game that like the 4 of you are playing.
Yeah, the 4 of us are playing in the off time.
Yes.
There's a great piece of art of that too.
Yeah. I'm sure it's going well.
Yeah. You're right.
Ooh, writing pad. 10.
Excellent. So you
Nice.
do exactly what you want with
Yes.
a 10. You follow this trail, and you can kind of hear me talking for just a brief second, but then it's gone. It's just this odd growl. So as you run along, you got your phone out, still at 14%. Not bad. You'll wrap this up in 13%, I'm sure. You're chasing along, you've got the light up, and you see this creature on hands and knees just sprinting through the theater up onto the stage, and then it leaps up into the grid. And so you're standing amongst the seats, and you can look up and you can see this thing crawling around inside of the grid.
Oh shit! I need to get up there somehow. Wait a minute. This would probably be better if my friends were with me. Damn. Okay. I'm gonna look around for a way to get up to the grid.
Roll Read a Bad Situation.
That's not as good. I got a 6.
So you think that the best way to do it is there's a rope hanging down the side of the stage that you can see is tied to the light grid. And you think that the best option would probably be to old school gym class, climb that rope into the grid.
Okay.
Oh my God.
For those of you at home, Read a Bad Situation lets them know the best way to do things. On a 6 or less, their intuitions lead them wrong.
I'm going to test the rope first.
Great.
Tug, tug.
Yeah, seems solid.
Pretty solid. All right. I'm going to start to put my full body weight onto it.
Yeah, it stays.
Okay. I am going to... Oh, this seems
Die
like
in
a
a few
bad
minutes.
idea. Oh, God. I'm such a fool for doing this. You know what? I'm going to try and climb the rope.
All right, roll act under pressure. I think you're having some panic thoughts about what it was like to be in elementary school and climbing the rope and the strange sensations it gave you. It's making you
What?
No, nobody Wayne's World?
I'm with you on that.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right.
Not Jake, though.
No.
Oh.
That was...
What was the that's one of my favorite moments right there is when you give someone that failed result on a read a bad situation that you have to trust those players to do the thing. Like, this is what you think is the best thing. Yeah, okay, I guess I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was such a good moment of you don't really think of the age difference between a few of us, but that moment right there, that Wayne's World joke, Jake was just like, fucking what? What are you talking about?
I also don't understand it, but I'm much closer on the Jake side of the age spectrum.
Yeah, there's just and it's a joke from Wayne's World, but it's like that, it makes you feel funny when you climb the rope in gym class. Yeah, anyway, we won't get into that. That's for Tuesday nights.
All right.
Not Jake, though.
No.
Oh.
That was act under pressure, you said?
Yeah.
I got a 10.
Excellent. So you, man, hand over hand, you got your feet pushed together. You slink your way up this rope in the darkness. Nothing seems to be a problem. You get up there without issue.
Am I in the grid?
You are in the grid.
Am I like on a platform, or is it like a gangway or something?
There is a gangway.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
So
going.
there's a series of planks laid across the bars of the grid for technicians to walk across, just in case anyone out there is like, what do you mean a gangway? Is there a pirate ship up in the grid?
I am going to follow the gangway.
This is pretty high. You're going to make your way across. Again, it's dark. You still got your battery. It's still a good solid 14%. Woo. Give me another act under pressure.
Oh, God.
To get across this grid
on,
and
babe.
essentially to the lighting booth that's at the end of the grid.
Oh, okay. Oh, not good. No, not good, not good. Oh, but man, that sweet experience.
Oh, no. You're going to level up the second you hit the ground.
What was that roll?
That would be a that would be a 4.
You start to make your way across the grid. You feel something scuttle under one of your feet, and you pull it up to try to get away, and you topple sideways out of the grid.
I'm gonna try and grab for
Try to grab for purchase?
purchase.
All right,
yes.
roll it.
Oh God! It is a 7.
You lift your foot and you start to fall sideways. You try to reach out to grab a hold of some of the lighting instruments or some of the pipes, anything to stop you from falling. You realize that you're going to be able to catch yourself on the rope but get tangled in it, or you're going to be able to just barely get a hold of one of the bars enough to change your trajectory so that you fall into the seating area, which may be a little less painful.
I'm just gonna go ahead and go for the rope.
So you fall and you try to get a hold of the rope, and as you go down, it starts to tangle around your arms and your legs, and you find yourself jolted to a stop, hanging upside down, swinging above the stage. And below you is one of these little shadowy creatures with glowing yellow eyes, looking up at you curiously. Jake.
That is one of my favorite. Oh, you're gonna level up right after you
We have
hit
to
the
hit the
ground.
ground. Oh, what a series of rolls that was.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting into the home stretch here. If anybody has any questions about this, let me know. We'll keep rolling.
All right.
Jake.
I think I'm still just punching it.
Okay.
Yeah, boy.
12.
Great. What is your extra effect?
I'm going to suffer less harm on this one.
All right. Your fist knocks it back to the ground, and it starts to turn into a puddle.
Hell yes. I step backwards away so that the puddle doesn't get on my shoes, and I pick up my hammer.
Okay, well, that's new. What the hell?
So you guys both step back, and you see this little pool and this other little pool, And as you watch it, they start to move away from you, like the pool is just slowly dripping away.
Can I set my hammer in the pool and use the stun part of its abilities?
Are you doing that?
Yeah, I would like to try. I want to try and shock this shit, see if it conducts electricity.
So are you setting the hammer down on it, or are you trying to hit it and stun it?
I mean, I'm not letting go of the hammer. I imagine reaching out and touching the puddle with the hammer, with the head of the hammer.
To do what you want to do, you got to hit it. And if you're just setting the hammer down, I don't think that it's going to do damage or stun. You know what I mean?
I guess kick some ass then.
Okay.
But flavor-wise, I don't want to think about it like taking a mighty swing. I want to think about it like reaching out and trying to shock it.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sure.
I just like the look in my head and snake eyes.
Oh, good. I'm getting shocked, aren't I?
So you gently start to poke your hammer towards this pool, and as you do, you realize that you've stepped further into the dark room.
Oh, no.
And as you touch it, the puddle comes together and reaches up and wraps around the hammer and pulls it out of your hand and starts to slide it away.
I need that. I want to try to grab it.
So, Jake, you lunge forward to grab hold of the hammer as it's being pulled away, and you realize that as you're in the air, it's starting to move away faster and faster. You're just able to get your hand through the loop and grab hold of the handle, but it's pulling you. And Tass, you see Jake's feet vanish into the darkness, and then nothing.
The Critshow is a Critshow Studios production, edited and produced by
Carolyn.
Brandon
Aw,
Wentz
we love
with
Carolyn.
music by Jake Purley. You can find more information about us at thecritshowpodcast.com. To keep up to date with upcoming live shows, contests, and other special events, follow us at The Crit Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For even more weekly content, join us at patreon.com/thecritShow.
Hey.
Oh, the very first Rev cliffhanger.
I know, right?
Aaron asks, did you have any particular inspiration you drew from for the Soul Bat?
You know, I apparently did, and I didn't realize it.
Great.
In my head, it was kind of like a mini Venom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like a little symbiote, but apparently I also just created the darkness from Kingdom Hearts.
A little bit, yeah.
It never really occurred to me until someone else pointed it out. But yeah, they're just like little balls of goo, little shadow monsters. And so yeah, those were the things that I guess unintentionally influenced me. It wasn't until much later that someone was like, "Oh yeah, it's like the thing from Kingdom Hearts."
Oh my god, and you defeat it because Kingdom Hearts is light.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Like, oh,
Mithril
yeah.
has a really good question. What would you have done if someone had died super early on? I assume restart if it was before you published Arc 1, but what about after the first release?
I mean, Monster of the Week has resurrection mechanics.
Yeah?
And so I think that is part of the fun of this game is letting the players do the work to resurrect a character and then have them dealing with the ramification based off of what they roll on their resurrection.
Yeah, it would just be like another arc to try to do that. Yeah. Listening to this was so fun.
Yeah, it really was. It makes me want to do like just the first story arc.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of the of our break.
I mean, chat. What do you think about that?
Yeah, would folks want to show up if we kind of do just the first full story arc while we're on our break? We could probably do it. What is today? Today's Friday.
Today's Saturday, my dear.
Oh no, today's. Thank you. Yeah, we might be able to do it at the same time for a while. It seems like people had more time free now than if we were to like do it on Tuesday nights for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
the third story arc, and then
well, okay, we'll see how it goes with this.
Yeah,
with
we'll
at
start-
first.
Yeah.
Let's
So
start.
yeah, we'll do
small.
the first story arc. We'll come back next Saturday. Let me check the calendar before I say that aloud.
Right.
But I'm almost positive I don't have anything.
Rev and I
next
are
Saturday.
furiously looking at our Google calendars.
Google
our
calendar.
shared Google calendar.
The Google calendar that everyone is on.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything Saturday. So yeah, we could do episode 2 next Saturday.
Yeah.
It would be TJ.
It'd be nice.
It would be nice to hear the show for the first time, I guess.
Yeah, and we'll definitely put this on YouTube if you
Yeah.
can't if you miss one of the VODs for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
that's a good idea. We'll save these and put them up on YouTube on their own little playlist.
Yeah. Should I draw another winner? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Okay, let's do one more. All right, roll it. Seth!
Hey, Seth has won.
Seth, your luck. My goodness.
Yeah. I think Seth literally just got one of his prizes today or yesterday from a winning that he had.
Winning.
A winning that he had.
Congrats, Seth. Yeah. Announcements. So next week, what sort of streams do we got? So Monday, May 31st at 8 p.m. Please join us for episode 5 of the Omniverse Chronicles Masks. That story is getting so good.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love playing it so much. No stream on Tuesday because spoiler alert, we're actually doing the session 0 for the next the Omniverse Chronicles, which is going to be Crossroads Carnival, which I'm very excited about. And then on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, Megan and I are going to be playing Mystery Detectives. We're going to be playing Nancy Drew, The Deadly Device. The costume theme is electricity. So that could be Thor. That could be Pikachu. That
Somebody
could
better
be,
dress as Powerline from the Goofy movie. is all
Someone
I'm
could be
saying.
Powerline from the Goofy movie. There are so many options. Is there any way to view old episodes of Masks easily to catch up? There sure is.
Yeah.
You can head on over to our YouTube channel where we have all of the old VODs from our Masks campaign, as well as our previous Omniverse Chronicles campaign, I Hunt, as well as a smattering of Let's Plays that we've done that also live forever on that channel.
I also just today put up our live stream from Livestream for the Cure. So
nice.
myself running Kim and Tass through a second attempt of The Witch is Dead. And that is just 45 minutes, I believe. So, but that just got put up today.
Nice. I can't wait to see that. Could you put the ads on Discord? Which ads? But someone should dress as Trent for Mystery Detectives on Thursday. Just a string of Christmas lights. Yeah.
Hashtag Trent sucks.
Oh, the show ads, Kitty Poo Club, etc.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm sure we could find a place to share those in case people haven't heard them.
Yeah, we could probably find a place where those could live. Speaking of Discord, Discord access is gained through joining our Patreon, and which is just simply the best. You can get onto our Discord with $1 a month via a Patreon subscription, or if you do $5 a month, you get to the Discord access, plus all of the amazing bonus content that we do, which is Investigate the History, which is a sort of like behind-the-scenes dramaturg show with Carolyn and Rev going into your inspirations and references that go into each story arc. It's Hero Salad, which is Tass's amazing Worlds in Peril campaign, where the boys play superheroes who turn into super vegetables. And our current campaign, which is Perilous Tides, which is the one that I'm on, which is just an amazing fantasy pirate story, which is so good. And we have book clubs, we have cooking contests, we have movie nights. It's also good, and it's aggressively welcoming. Does the Coinverse have an actual name? Yeah, it's called Other Side of the Coin.
Yeah, the other side of the coin.
Yes.
What was the other thing I was just thinking? Oh, yeah. If you have not joined our Patreon and you want to join, I will say I have not yet recorded the intro for the reading of the names for this month, but I will do that on the 1st, right before the episode goes out. And so give me your difficult names to try to say aloud.
Oh, and before I forget, while you all are still here, because this is our birthday month, if we didn't mention it before, today, 3 years ago today, the first episode of the Crit Show came out. And so for the entire month of May, we've been running a special deal on our merch store. So you can head on over to that link in chat and get yourself some sweet t-shirts at a discounted price, as well as some cool swag bundles for pins and patches and dice and things like that.
The pins and the patches and the bundle that includes like stickers and patches and pins, I've put together a few of those in the last couple of days, and that is a very good deal.
Mm-hmm. And that,
which is a weird thing to say, but
it's a good deal. And that only goes through the end of May as well. Yes. Also, if you want to join our t-shirt or swag tiers, the deadline is also the end of May on our Patreon. So yes, if you would like some very cool, I'm drinking out of one of my swag items right now, or some very cool Patreon exclusive t-shirts, you can join those tiers by the end of May, and you'll be eligible for the next swag cycle. Oh, is that it, Rev?
I think so.
Okay.
No, Susan, nothing has yet happened with those songs that people sent in. I started to compile them in an order, and then
just life happened.
And then life. But it will. Something will happen.
But yeah. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love you so much. Thank you for 3 amazing years, and thank you for hanging out with us and supporting us and listening to us and recommending us to your friends. And it means so much, and it's very cool to just, I don't know, to just be here and be with you all. It's such a wonderful community. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful night. I guess Rev and I will see you next Saturday for episode 2.
Join us next Saturday for episode 2. And if nobody's here, it dies there.
It dies there. So
it's all on you.
If you want to make this happen, show up on Saturday.
You gotta be here.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you later. Bye.
Good night.